must bring to our task today the vision and will of those who came before.
The American dream endures.
This is, in some measure, an act of faith and vision.
It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream.
Hello, and welcome to the world of the future. My name is Mac, and I'm your host. Before we get going, we want to mention that this show was made entirely with a computer program called Virtual U. Virtual U is totally free with no strings attached, and you can download it from OpenDrive cloud storage at the site showing on the screen. Virtual U is a clip maker, movie builder, and video editor. It's completely safe, fun, and easy to use. It's time to take a look at the past and see if it's bunk, as Henry Ford said a long time ago, along with our own theory of how life began on Earth. No one really knows what processes were involved in the formation of the Earth, but it's possible that it became habitated in an unusual way. About 4 billion years ago, the Earth had cooled, its magnetic field was forming, and small amounts of oxygen existed. Water existed in abundance, but there was no life anywhere. The Earth was a fertile planet waiting to be infused with the seeds of life. Out in space, debris in the form of asteroids and meteors roamed freely throughout the solar system, often striking the Earth. Out of all the barren rocks floating through space, perhaps one of them contained deep within itself a hardy, dormant organism trapped inside and hitching a ride, just waiting to emerge. Perhaps the path of this rock just happened to intersect the Earth. It entered the atmosphere of what was to become our home and struck the Earth with tremendous force, scattering itself and its hitchhiker. Freed at last, this organism emerged from its shell and replicated itself, exploding in its own way into a rapid proliferation that quickly spread over the planet. Millions of years later, it eventually evolved into many different forms of life, some of them being very strange. Oxygen now existed in abundance, and after many more millions of years had passed, the dawning of a new dominant form of life was ready to begin. And its name was human. If life was introduced to Earth from outside, then it may be that we are aliens. In time, the early humans resembled modern people. Life for these Cro-Magnon humans was short, brutal, and primitive. They had only basic tools like spears, chisels, and fire, but they left their mark in the form of artwork, carvings, and stencils of their enduring hands. Though a few of them probably reached middle age, most of them did not live much past the age of 20. They were subject to the weather and they faced many dangers and monsters, both real and imagined. As people continued to advance, settlements sprang up here and there, and the beginnings of civilization appeared. Horses were tamed, and other animals were domesticated, including dogs, who became man's best friend. Technology advanced, and simple machines were made, including the invention of the wheel, along with the important and useful discovery of booze. As the years rolled by, trade developed, and this prompted the building of seafaring ships which traveled the oceans and brought humans closer together. Monuments were built, and humans continued their search for greatness. Great cities appeared. Armies and great warriors appeared, only to be supplanted by other armies and warriors. As civilization flourished, buildings became more elaborate. Great thinkers and philosophers appeared on the scene and spread culture and more ideas. Paintings, sculpture, and other forms of art were produced by brilliant and gifted artists. Institutions of learning were built to shape and mold people's minds. Humans began to live longer and healthier lives, and population increased as civilization moved forward. Ships were improved, and brave explorers roamed the globe in search of new discoveries. Books were made which gave people more options, but life was still short, and danger existed everywhere. Yes, danger still existed. Advances were being made in all fields of endeavor with increased trade and more interaction between different people, but this interaction also increased certain threats, including the threat of infectious disease, especially the dreaded plague. This scourge broke out in different places and different times, and there was no way to stop it. It was hell on earth during these epidemics, and the form of the grim reaper arose to threaten humanity. The devil seemed to be loose, laughing as people died and the bodies piled up. Graveyards never did so much horrific business as death danced over the graves of the numerous corpses. Macabre scenes of sickness became a daily spectacle. Pestilence and death seemed to roam freely over the earth, and humanity was helpless in the skeletal face of so much suffering. Then people fought back, using what crude knowledge they had, which paved the way towards healing, medicine, and capable doctors. Faith also played its part. As medical studies improved and books became more available, progress accelerated in medicine and other areas. Great leaders arose to help humanity in many ways. Exploration continued constantly, and new discoveries were recorded in books which began to fill magnificent libraries. Daring sailors risked their lives to sail the seven seas. Kings and queens sponsored them, and they were defended by more advanced weapons. Religious faith existed hand in hand with the discovery of new inventions. These inventions included the precursors to modern timepieces and clocks. The telescope was invented, and it opened up the heavens to the curious eyes and minds of scientists who used logic and reason to reduce ignorance and increase knowledge. New political ideas appeared in Europe. Colonization and immigration helped to spread these revolutionary thoughts to the New World, and our story picks up speed in the same way that the lifestyles of people were accelerated by the rate of progress and higher civilization. Brilliant artists and writers created enduring masterpieces. New World thinkers influenced the Old World, which reciprocated, stimulated, and influenced writers of genius who left their mark on the pages of history. They are now long gone, but their words, creations, and imaginations haunt and enthrall those who strive towards greatness for the sake of greatness. They are dead, but their works live on and continue to inspire and encourage later generations. Another kind of important revolution was the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Age ushered in a new era of machines, steam power, trains, electricity, photography, automobiles, and even new fashions, to name a few. People moved around faster than ever before. Looking for new horizons and better lives, they traveled in search of greener pastures. At the beginning of the 1900s, cities grow into massive sprawls. People flock there from the countryside seeking jobs, money, and fame, but some of them become islands of loneliness, wondering what to do. New tools are made and the fortunes of life seem to go up and down with no end in sight. The ancestors of modern telephones are invented and they become a network of communications. Someone always seems to be calling. Some yearn for more beautiful shores. Motion pictures arrive and people watch others live their lives while their own are put on hold. In 1910, Mark Twain dies. Dark clouds gather as world tensions grow, and the world wars against itself. Deadly weapons foreshadow the development of more dangerous devices and other more terrible wars and unthinkable horrors. Everyone has the dream of owning their own castle. Radio is invented, and folks find entertainment at home rather than outside. Hucksters promise a car in every garage. After World War II and into the 50s and 60s, strange forms of art, lifestyles, and concepts of reality began to creep into the established order. Drugs, cults, and new ways of thinking among a growing number of people coincided with new kinds of physical, mental, and spiritual sources of power. Through a glass darkly and the tears of life, people seeking the meaning of life look for answers and question the values of the good old days, which in fact had never really existed in the first place. Danger was still present, though it had taken different forms. All over the globe, restless and thoughtful humans sought to improve their lives, and Lady Liberty still inspired and welcomed those who were looking for the good life. Gaia turned as it always had, and people who lived much longer lives had more time to consider and think about who and what they were and where they were going. The technology from World War II evolved like the people it was designed to kill, and when money, fear, ambition, and greed was added to it, then the result was more nuclear weapons in addition to other lethal devices such as biological weapons. This savage part of human nature has led to countless atrocities, symbolized by an act which happened on a late fall day in the fair city of Dallas, Texas. Hopefully humans can evolve into beings who will be free from acts of violence like the one which occurred on that day. The focus of human endeavor should not be centered on the sixth-floor window of an ugly brick building, but on the high aspirations of the good part of human nature. Instead of the wheels of hate, perhaps people will learn to ride the wheels of fortune to a bright, shining future. Instead of blood being on the hands of sinful men, maybe the clean, marvelous hands of future humans will build miracles. Now, let's see what's going on in today's world. We'll look at people and events from a philosophical point of view. kind of road are you on, and where are you going? Are you looking for golden money and riches to fill your pockets? Are you looking here and there, hoping to find something of great value to fill your life? Perhaps you're seeking all around for love, or maybe even for strange love, or whatever love that you can possibly find. Maybe you're looking for meaning to your life, or maybe you just want to get away from it all. Perhaps you're only just looking for quick thrills and entertainment in this tech-driven, fast-paced society. Maybe instead of just some temporary, fleeting excitement, you're looking intently for some kind of lasting and meaningful relationship with a significant other. Whatever it is that you're looking for, remember that you can never tell what's around the corner. You just go along your routine way, and then suddenly you're not there anymore. Humans have ideals, wanting things to be better than they are, and are always looking for something more, restless and never satisfied with the status quo, perhaps not even realizing the possibility that something may be looking for us. We all want things, and even the poor get something that is special to them. Some people steal what they can't buy, and crime is rampant with big crooks and little crooks. Sometimes a cloud of violence appears to darken this tired, old, suffering world, shattering the peaceful continuity and then leaving a red stain to mark its awful presence. It seems like a mass murder or vicious crime happens every day, and this causes society to fold up and retreat in the face of so much violence and the proliferation of guns. The good folks, and they do exist, yearn for a knight in shining armor, a gallant defender, or a caped crusader to save them. Now let's take a look at the world of the future. Our own resident visionary says that our future will probably involve aliens. We all have some notion of what our immediate future will be like, but we don't always know what fate might have in store for us. We might be unaware of something right under our nose. A downward spiral could suddenly change into an upward spiral of marvelous discovery and even infinite beautiful possibilities. Meanwhile, life goes on. Work, play, and the routine of life continues. What will the future be like? Will it be desolation like so much of the past has been and what so much of the present is now? Dreams don't always work out, and for some folks life can change from an amusement park into a living nightmare. The second hand of time spins, but sometimes it can skip a beat and provide a second chance. The future will certainly contain advanced technology. Will increased interconnections make people happy or even more lonely? They will all be caught up in the omnipresent internet as well, but what kind of ensnarement will this be? One thing is certainly sure, and that's that someone will be watching. What are scientists cooking up now in the public sector or in secret? Many folks are already tagged, sorted, filed, and observed. Who's in charge? Is some computer or group of robots in control of everything? We're reaching for the stars now that people, except for the wild element, are controlled and organized here on Earth. traveling through space with conventional means is like a slow bird trying to fly around the world. Wormholes could be a way around speed limitations. A wormhole is a hypothetical tunnel between distant regions of space-time. They say the early bird gets the worm, but maybe the worm could get the bird. Let's say that an exoplanet inhabited by advanced aliens is discovered 10 light years from Earth. You first send a radio signal to the aliens, which 10 years later they will decipher as telling them to expect a special beam of light. Here on Earth, you entangle the photons of a light beam and then trap that light in a loop. You then direct a portion of that entangled light to the aliens who trap that portion. You then have instant communications since entangled particles react instantly to each other no matter how far apart they are. Together you set up a wormhole, gather up all the courage that you can muster, and then you pay them a nice friendly visit. Of course, the crucial and scary thing about tunnels is that if a traveler can go one way, then a traveler can also go the other way. This means that an alien could use the same wormhole to visit the Earth. Well, that's all of the show for now, even though there is no now. We hope you enjoyed it and that you will visit us again. So long until the next edition of The World of the Future.